happened to make it. And it's another beautiful chapter starting, and I thought, okay, we should have this. It seems very odd, actually. We are so used to having our sangha and with all the devotees, and I thought, okay, even though I was like quite tired coming late, but I thought still we should go ahead and do it today. So thank you so much. At short notice, I had to just put in the message, and thank you everyone for joining. With your permission, maybe we should do our Mangala Charan prayer.
Can you singing one Vaishnav? No, it's too late.
Prabhuji, you want to do the Vaishnava prayer?
Vaishnav song.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
If you want too late, no problem.
No, Prabhuji. Which song is? We just wanted to just start off with the Mangala Charan and.
Okay.
And then maybe after that, Prabhuji. After the
okay.
After that.
No problem.
Amoga Prabhu, would you want to do the Mangala Charan or?
I think we give a chance to maybe devotees, Prabhuji. Amrita Mataji is here.
Himaji, would you like to do the Mangala Charan?
Yes, Prabhu, I will do.
Please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Joy.
That was very nicely sung.
Yeah, very nicely sung. Yeah, very nice.
Thank you, Hari Bol Prabhu. Thank you.
Kept the same scale all throughout the prayer.
Yeah. The same, Himaji, very nicely you sung. Thank you for that. I was just wondering, Vrindavan Prabhuji, you wanted to do Vaishnava bhajan? Prabhuji, please.
Okay. Can I start?
Yeah, please. What's the name of the bhajan, Prabhuji? Maybe I can type the lyrics.
Manas Deoge.
Okay.
Manas Deoge ho jo kichu moro অর্পিনু তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর সম্পদে বিপদে জীবন মরণে দয়া মম গেলা তুহা উপদ বরণে মানস দেহ গেহ যো কিছু মোর অর্পিত তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর মারপি রাখবি জয়িচ্ছা তোহার নিত দাস পতি তুয়া অধিকার জন্ম অভি মোহ ইচ্ছা যদিও তুহার ভক্ত গৃহে জনি জন্ম ওক মোহরাম মানস দেহ গেয় যো কিছু মোর অর্পিত তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর কীট জন্ম হো যাতা তুয়া দাদাস বহির্মুখ ব্রহ্ম জন্ম নাহি মর আশা ভক্তি মুক্তি স্প্রিয়া বিহীন যে ভক্ত লবাইতে তাকে সঙ্গ অনুরক্ত মানস দেহ গেহ যো কিছু মোর অর্পিত তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর জনক জননী দয়িত তনয় প্রভু গুরু পতিত তুহ সর্বময় ভকতি বিনোদ কহে শোন কান রাধা নাথ তুহ আমারো পরাণ মানস দেহ গেহ যো কিছু মোর অর্পিত তুয়া পদে নন্দ কিশোর জয় শ্রী ভক্তিবিনোদ ঠাকুর কি জয়
Yay! Amazing. That was wonderful, Bhajan Prabhuji. Thank you so much, because every time you kind of like enlighten us with bhajans we had never heard before. I mean, Manasa Deho Geho, it's such a beautiful. I was just looking at the lyrics and seeing, like, you know, it's in a mood of surrender. It is in just in one word for me. The immediate reflection is the mood of surrender, that we just not simply just doing it, just like a prayer, just like that, but keeping our mind, body, everything completely in the mood of surrender. Sometimes we could do our prayers, but we are not here. We are thinking about so many things. But here it's all about surrendering all our mind, body, everything at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And it is so beautiful because the final signature of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam saranam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshe isyami masuchaha. Abandon everything and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. And here you see the prayer is talking about surrender to the lotus feet. And this is exactly what Krishna wants. Krishna wants us to just surrender at his lotus feet. And then he assures, Kaunteya priti janihi name bhakta pranashyati. Kaunteya, Arjuna, you declare to the whole world that a devotee who surrendered unto me will never perish, because I will always keep protecting him. So this is a beautiful, that mood of surrender where we are surrendering to Krishna and we are praying to Krishna, and Krishna in return is also reciprocating our surrender by saying that no matter whatever circumstances, I will protect you and I will make sure that you come back to me. So this is a beautiful relationship between Krishna, and that's why sometimes when we sing the bhajans also, we should absorb the mood of the bhajan, that what exactly it means. So yeah, I just want to thank Vrindavan Das Prabhuji. It's such a beautiful one, bhajan for us. Keep enlightening us with these bhajans from
Thank you.
time to time. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So just quickly want to do a quick Jai Radha Madhava, and then we will dive into our Krishna book, regular Krishna book reading. And I think all of us know this beautiful song. Right. So everybody is aware of this song. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Radha Gopi Jai Radha Gokulanda ki Jai. It's so beautiful, this darshan of Radha Gokulananda. As we always say, Radha Krishna eki atma duhi dehadari anyone vela se rasha ashwadana kari. Srimati Radharani and Bhagavan Sri Krishna eki atma, but appear in two transcendental bodies in a loving relationship with each other. And in Dwapar Yuga, Krishna, his energy of Ladini Shakti of Krishna manifested in the form of Radharani. And in Dwapar Yuga, we have Radharani and Krishna Bhagavan. And in Kali Yuga, we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was none other than Krishna Bhagavan himself, but who came in the mood of Radharani, in the mood of a divine devotee of Krishna, and in the mood of Radharani, always searching for Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Namastasya Bhaktam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upashate. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that my devotees are always chanting my glories. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Every time, no matter whatever the place, circumstances, the time, my devotees are always chanting my holy name. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the same thing, Kirtaniya Sada Hari, always chanting the glories of, always to chant the name of Hari. So we are so fortunate that we have Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is so kind and merciful, who came in the form of a devotee called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give us this benediction that in Kali Yuga, but just by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that you will be able to attain the love of Krishna. So going on to the Veda base, where we are going to be starting off with a new chapter. As we all know, we have been covering this beautiful book, which is called this KrishnaBook. And we covered so many beautiful chapters of Krishna. They are all divine Leelas of Krishna. And we covered this chapter called 51, which is the deliverance of Muchukunda. We've seen that Krishna is always reciprocating to the love of his devotees. And in this chapter 51, we covered that how even though Muchukunda was a devotee of Krishna, but he has forgotten about this in this life. But Krishna always remembers his devotees, even though we may forget. The very fact that all of us, we are right now, we are aspiring devotees of Krishna. We are always, praying, chanting for Krishna, because we have this, we must have practiced this in our prior life. And that's the reason only when Krishna gives us this benediction that in this life, you can continue with the bhakti life towards Krishna. So even though Muchukunda has forgotten about it, Krishna remembered Muchukunda and he gave his benediction, and he appeared in the form of four-armed Narayana form and gave him his blessings as well to Muchukunda. So after we have covered that particular chapter, we've seen Muchukunda was such a pure devotee of Krishna. Even though Krishna gives him the benediction, Muchukunda says, I do not want any of these material desires. Even though Krishna gives him the boon, he doesn't ask for any kind of material desires. And this is the mood of devotees. This is what we need to understand from Krishna Katha about the mood of the pure devotees of Krishna, that they are not looking for anything. They just want to take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. And as Prabhuji just now gave us this beautiful bhajan called Manasa Dehoga, in which also the mood is saying that I just want to take shelter at your feet. That's what is the whole essence. And this is what even Muchukunda was asking in this chapter. Now, having covered the chapter, we discuss about that. We are starting a new chapter, which is called as chapter 52, Krishna the Ranachora. Very popular in the sense that Krishna is called with different names in different temples. In some of the Krishna mandirs called as Radha Ranachorji. So I think even in Gujarat, there is a temple with this name, as someone who's ran away from the battlefield. And we will see the circumstances and the reason why Krishna ran away from the battle, because we are so fortunate, because even though people speculate in the material world, but as devotees of Krishna, we are so fortunate that Prabhupada has given us this Krishna book where we can dive into the nectar and we can collect all these beautiful oysters of the real treasure of what the reason why Krishna does certain things. And we can get into the depth of the reason of why Krishna is being called with different names and different temples. So before we do that, we just in invocation, a prayer to Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hey Krishna, Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapti Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. As we always do before we start the Krishna Katha, we should remember the beautiful instruction in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti takrataha chakradeham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna, where Krishna says that one who understands Krishna's divine leelas, the transcendental appearance of Krishna's birth, appearance of the planet and his leelas, whether playing with Mother Yashoda or killing the demonic people like Putana and Kamsa, or even taking care of or supporting the Pandavas and protecting them at all times. These are all the divine leelas. And Krishna says one who understands these leelas towards the end of his life will not come back into this material world, but will directly go to Krishna Loka. So this is Krishna's benediction, because as the Supreme Father, Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha, because he is our universal Father. And it's Krishna, as a father and a mother, wants all of us to come back, listen to Krishna Katha, get all the auspiciousness, get all the fortune, so that towards the end of our life, we will go back to Krishna Loka. Because whomever we remember, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whomever we remember towards the end of our life, that is where we'll go. If we think of our ancestors, we will go to the ancestors. If we think of the Devatas, we will go to the planet of the Devatas. If we think of ghosts and spirit, we'll go in the place where they reside. And if we think of Krishna, we will go to the supreme planet of Krishna. So this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is saying. So it is not everything is the same. We have to understand the difference between each of them. Chapter number 52, Krishna the Ranachora. I just wanted to ask Ramnath Prabhu, would you be happy to just start off with the chapter, just giving a read of the first paragraph?
No, you can do it. I have a hard time seeing it, actually.
Oh, okay, Prabhu. Yeah, no problem at all. Anybody would like to volunteer for the first? Hare Krishna Sanchiti ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Pala Prabhu wants to read.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji, please go ahead.
A little bit small, actually, a little bit safe.
Oh, is it?
Small for me, because logged in from the phone.
Okay. Prabhuji, don't struggle.
Okay,
it's
yes,
okay.
okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So starting from when Mukunda, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Krishna the Rana core. When Mukunda, the celebrated descendant of Ikshavu dynasty, was favored by Lord Krishna. Just a minute, Prabhu. This window is coming on top of the.
Oh, okay. Pop-ups.
Yeah. Sorry, let's start again. When Mukunda, the celebrated descendant of the Ikshavu dynasty, was favored by Lord Krishna, he circumambulated the Lord within the cave and then came out. On coming out of the cave, Mukunda saw that the human species had surprisingly been reduced in stature to pygamy. Is it to pygmy size? Similarly, the trees had also been far reduced in size, and Mukunda could immediately understand that the current age was Kali Yuga. Therefore, without diverting his attention, he began to travel north. Eventually, he reached a mountain known as Gandha Madana, where there were many trees such as sandalwood and other flowering trees, whose fragrance made anyone who reached them joyful. He decided to remain in that Gandhamadana mountain region to execute austerities and penances for the rest of his life. It appears that this place is situated in the northernmost part of the Himalayan mountains, where the abode of Naronarayana is situated. This place is still existing and is called Badari Kasrama.
Yeah.
Is it Badri Kasram, Prabhu? Is it?
Yeah, Badrika Ashrama.
Oh, it's mentioned Badari Kasrama, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
Badrika.
Badri Kasrama, he engaged himself in the worship of Lord Krishna, tolerating all kinds of pains and pleasures and the other dualities of this material world. Lord Krishna returned to the vicinity of Mathura, where he fought with the soldiers of Kalayavana and killed them one after another. After this, he collected all the booty from the dead bodies, and under his discretion, it was loaded on bullock carts and brought back to Dwarka.
Hare
Meanwhile,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, is it that's up to this or meanwhile?
That's fine. That's fine, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we
Sorry for
started
missing.
with another chapter, and I think it's the first paragraph is basically just a continuation of where we stopped in the earlier chapter. In the last chapter, we're talking about like Krishna was giving a benediction to Muchukunda, his devotee, and asking, please, whatever boon that you want. And Muchukunda was a great devotee and someone who's very spiritual, because he went in, even fought with on behalf of the demigods. He was such a great devotee. So Muchikonda says this material world is full of, problems. Even a king is not spared from all these material desires and things like. So he was, people in those days, they were very spiritual. So you can find that Muchikonda, this continuation is happening from the previous. So Krishna was very happy that Muchikonda is not someone who's materialistic, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that there are 4 kind of people who approach Krishna. One who's going with materialistic desires for wealth, and one person who goes to Krishna for relief of all the problems. Third kind of a people, pious people, go to Krishna out of curiosity. When they watch a movie like, Kalki, they immediately come to the temple to find out more. And the 4th kind of devotee are who go to Krishna for the love of Krishna. So Krishna knows that they're all 4 different kind of devotees. So when he seen that Muchikonda was not expecting anything and from Krishna in return, Krishna was quite pleased, and he kind of blesses him. So as we discussed earlier, Muchikonda comes from the Ikwaku dynasty, the Raghurama dynasty, right? So we can see that he's quite a celebrated king who comes from this very well-known Ikwaku dynasty. In fact, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyam vivaswan manave praha. I first explained this to the Ikwaku, he explained it to sun god, and sun god passed it on to Manu, and Manu in turn passed it on to Ikwaku dynasty. So it has come in a parampara. So Muchukonda belongs to this Ikwaku dynasty, which Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. So we can see that this whole thing, all these things are happening, all these beautiful leelas that are happening Krishna towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, and that's when, and as it's about to enter into the Kali Yuga. So that's the reason you can find that when Muchukonda came out of the cave, we could also already see the kind of impressions of Kali Yuga slowly sleeping in, where you could see that the human species have been surprisingly reduced in size to a bigamy size. These are like very shortened kind of things. So we can imagine that in Dwapara Yuga, what kind of the height and personality that they used to be at that point of time, and it impacted everyone, including not only just the human beings, but even the trees also, that they were cut into size. And finally, we see that Muchukonda is circumambulated around Krishna, his divine Lord, and he has just gone into this place towards the north called Badrikashrama, which is quite well known. Even today, people go there. For devotees or Vaishnava devotees, they go to Badrikashrama, very, very auspicious place, well known, close to the Himalayas. And over there, he is engaging in serving Krishna and meditating on Krishna. And you can see that a Krishna devotee develops all kind of good qualities. And that's the reason you can find that somebody who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, or someone who's engaged in bhakti of Krishna, he can tolerate all kind of pains and pleasures, as you can see from the devotees. So every aspect of the nectar that you can find in Krishna Katha is we can collect pearls of wisdom, and we can collect beautiful knowledge, and also to understand how the people in those days, how the devotees were behaving in those days, that the devotee of Krishna, he's ready to tolerate all kinds of pains and pleasures. Krishna says, right? Matrasparsastu kaunteya shitosna sukha agamapayino nitya stam titiksa svabharata. Arjuna, this non-temporary, non-permanent happiness and distress and the disappearance in due course of time are just like the appearance and disappearance of summer and winter season. And Arjuna, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So Krishna himself is saying that this happiness and distress, they're just like, or pain and pleasures, they're just like the summer and winter season. They come and go. And what happens when we have a summer season? We wear cotton clothes. When we have winter season, we wear woolen clothes. And in that way, we try to manage the differences. Similarly, this pleasure and pains, no matter, they just come and go, just like the seasons. And Krishna is saying one must learn to accept, and one must learn to tolerate these dualities, because this is the nature of the material world, right? The nature of the material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is a place of suffering, just like, say, netralayam. That's a place where you go for, your health check and your eye clinic kind of thing, netralayam. Similarly, Krishna calls this world as dukkhalayam. This is a place of suffering. And as Prabhupada nicely says, even though we are suffering, we don't know, we think we are enjoying. But actually, we are suffering in this material world. At every padam, vipadam, at every step, there is some kind of a danger. Morning, you get a kaja, evening, you get a baja. And it is so much of a world of dualities. So we can see that Muchukonda, after this last chapter where Muchukonda and Krishna, Muchukonda has the darshan of Krishna, and Krishna blesses him, and then Muchukonda goes on a journey towards the north, towards Badrikashrama, and then Krishna now goes back to Mathura, and he fights with the soldiers of Kalayavana and kills them one after the other. And he collects all the booty from the dead bodies, and under his direction was loaded on the bullock carts. And you have to see the reciprocation of Krishna. Krishna, once he goes to Mathura, he is so kindly protecting the people of Mathura from all kind of dangers. And this is another lesson that we need to learn, that when we are under the shelter of Krishna, Krishna always gives us his protection. So here we can see that earlier when he led Kalayavana to the cave, Krishna was not even armed. He did not take his chariot also. He just walked in the middle of Kalayavana's army and straight away started walking so fast that Kalayavana was chasing Krishna, and finally Krishna took him to the cave. And in one shot, Muchukonda just opened his eyes and burnt Kalayavana to ashes in the cave. So this is Krishna's Leela, that in two birds for one, in one shot, he has put an end to him. And now, having done that, after that Leela, Now Krishna is coming back, as he knows that Kala Yavana has been attacking Mathura, the city of Mathura, and he's killed all of them. So we can understand where you should. So as Amarendra Prabhu once nicely mentioned, so people who think of the problems, you should tell the problems how big Krishna is. We should not think about how big our problems are. We should tell our problems how big Krishna is. Because when we have Krishna on our side, no matter even if the opposition is like a Kala Yavana, with having mighty soldiers, they still will be defeated because we have Krishna on our side. And that's the same thing which happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? Even though the opposition, they were Bhishma Pitama, there were Dronacharya, there were Kauravas, they were great mighty warriors. But on this side, Krishna had the Supreme Lord Bhagavan, Sri Krishna himself with him. And even though Krishna promised that he is not going to lift is not going to pick up and fight, and still Arjuna was happy with it because he had complete faith in Krishna. Avasya Rakshabe Krishna Vishwasapalana. That having that faith in Krishna's instructions. And this is what is important. Our faith is not blind faith. Our faith is based on the transcendental knowledge. Our faith is based on the instruction from Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada so nicely, today morning I was listening to him, our faith is developed because we know that Krishna is given his instructions in Bhagavad Gita. And our faith is based on Krishna's instructions, Krishna's promise in Bhagavad Gita, that when we take shelter to him, that he promise us that he is going to give us his protection. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyam. According to the level of surrender, Krishna says, reciprocates the feelings of his devotees. So we can see that nothing is impossible for Krishna. So even though he was unarmed, he simply goes back from the cave and he just wipes out all this entire Kala Yavana's army. And again, as we know, there were two armies, two different kings who were attacking Mathura. One was Jarasandha and other one was Kala Yavana. And now, as you can see above, that Krishna put an end to the soldiers who were there in Kala Yavana. And now again, Jarasandha again attacked Mathura, this time with a bigger division of soldiers numbering 23 Akshauhinis. So that's like a massive army that Jarasandha has taken to once again attend Mathura. As we know earlier, 17 times Krishna has defeated Jarasandha and spared his life. And Jarasandha again went back. And again, his friends were kind of like motivating him that, to go and again fight against Mathura. So Jarasandha has never learned his lesson. He was constantly attacking one time after the other. Lord Krishna wanted to save Mathura from the 18th attack of great military divisions of King Jarasandha. To prevent further killing of the soldiers and to attend other important business, Krishna left the battlefield without fighting. Actually, he was not afraid at all. Actually, he was not at all afraid, but he pretended to be an ordinary human being frightened by the immense quantity of soldiers and resources of Jarasandha. Without any weapon, Krishna left the battlefield. Although his lotus feet were as soft as the petals of the lotus flower, he proceeded for a long distance on foot. So we can see that there was no reason for Krishna to run away from the battlefield because he has already defeated Jarasandha 17 times. So from this itself, we can understand that Krishna had a different purpose why he had to leave the battlefield. And basically, he was always thinking of protecting his devotees. And we can see that the reason why Krishna created a Dwarka in the middle of the sea is basically to put all the people of Mathura in over there, because at that time, everything came under Mathura, to the kingdom of Mathura. And it's so interesting to know some of these intricate details because we were never aware of it. So the reason why Dwarka was formed, because basically to take the people and save them from Jarasandha's attack. And now we can see that to prevent the further killing of the soldiers and also another important business. So there's the reason why Krishna did that, to prevent further killing of the soldiers and also to attend the important business. And that business we will get to know very, very shortly. So we can understand that it is very interesting that even when Krishna was there in person as a Supreme Lord, not many people could have that kind of a vision to understand, or could have to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, right? So even Krishna also was like behaving like, even if you see in Vrindavan, the people of Vrindavan never looked at Krishna as like the Supreme Lord. For them, Krishna was the dearest Krishna who was always there at all times, protecting him, playing with him, and all them. So they considered him as one of their loving person in Vrindavan. But beyond this, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there's a much higher transcendental nature of Krishna, which was not visible, or not every people could understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So even though he pretended to be like an ordinary person, being afraid of the strength of Jarasandha, and without any weapons, he just leaves his battlefield. And we can see that Krishna, from the description that we have seen about Krishna in the previous chapters, we could see that Krishna was looking so beautiful, he was looking so soft, and he was so, like, you can see here the description is given that the lotus feet was just like petals of a lotus flower, and he proceeded for a very long distance on fruit. So we can see that this is what Krishna is, that we can bring to mind the beautiful imagination, or not even an imagination, a vision of Krishna. And that's the reason why when we go to a temple, when we see the darshan of Radha and Gokulananda and Radha and Krishna, they're so beautifully standing over there on the altar, and we should just completely absorb in samadhi, continuously thinking of Krishna, and manifest that beautiful divine darshan of Krishna within our hearts, so that when we go home, you should think about that beautiful face of Krishna and Krishna within our heart, and keep chanting the holy names of Krishna. And Krishna says this is the highest form of yoga. Yoginam api sarvesam madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate mam same yukta tamamata. Where Krishna is giving us the definition of bhakti yoga, that one who's always thinking of Krishna within his heart and always rendering transcendental loving service to him, Krishna says that is the highest form of yoga, or called as bhakti yoga. So how do we always think of Krishna within our heart? When we look at this beautiful divine darshan of Krishna and Radha and Gokulananda in the temple, we should always remember that and manifest that beautiful darshan within our heart, and then keep chanting the holy name. And this time, Jarasandha thought that Krishna and Balaram were very, very much afraid of his military strength. So what happens is, when Krishna and Balaram were there on the battlefield, and now we find that Krishna was just avoiding going and fighting with Jarasandha for the 18th time, and he's just walking away from the battlefield. So Jarasandha obviously was thinking that maybe Krishna is afraid of his military strength, and that's the reason maybe they were fleeing. But it's very ironical, because someone whose life Krishna has paid for 17 times, he would actually be thinking there must be some other reason. But even in spite of being defeated 17 times, still he's thinking that maybe Krishna is afraid of his military strength, because he's come with more number of soldiers. And he thought that Krishna and Balaram were ordinary beings, human beings. So you can see that even Jarasandha was thinking that Krishna was just an ordinary being. And so during this pastime, Krishna is known as Ranachora, which means one who has left the battlefield. And in India, especially in Gujarat, there are many temples of Krishna known as temples of Ranachoraji. Ordinarily, if a king leaves a battlefield without fighting, he's called a coward. But when Krishna enacts his pastime, leaving the battlefield without fighting, he is worshipped by his devotees. So this is the beauty of Krishna, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we call Krishna as Bhagavan. Bhagavan means someone who has those 6 opulences: unlimited strength, unlimited beauty, unlimited power, unlimited wealth, and also unlimited renunciation. Renunciation means he's totally detached from all these material activities, as if seated neutral. And we can see that Krishna says that whatever it is, he's totally unattached to anything, seated as though neutral. So we can see that Krishna on the battlefield, he's just lifted over there and he's just walked away. He's not even attached that he has to go and fight and wait for the results. So we can, because of this reason, Krishna is called with different names in different temples. And here you can find that in Gujarat, we can find that Krishna is called as Ranachoraji, someone who has left the battlefield. And this is Krishna's Leela. This is called as one of the aspects of Bhagavan, the reason, the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. And one opulence is unlimited renunciation, which means that he's totally detached from all these things, from these material activities. And so you can see that this is the display of the mood of the opulence of renunciation, that's one who has left the battlefield. It is very interesting, because Krishna himself tells Arjuna, when Arjuna wants to leave the battlefield, he says, Krishna tells Arjuna, they're going to think that you're a coward. They're going to think then for a mighty king, there can't be anything more horrible or disturbing than somebody calling you a coward. It is more than death. So Arjuna, he kind of motivates Arjuna to not leave the battlefield and going, because when Arjuna tells that I want to leave the battlefield and want to become a monk, I want to go begging, but I don't want to fight in the battlefield. Krishna scorns him, he motivates him, and he kind of in many ways he tells Krishna and to Arjuna, right? Klaibyam masma gama partha naitottupe upapadyate shudram hridaya daurbulyam chaktitista parantapa. Arjuna, come on, this doesn't befit. I mean, this doesn't suit you. You are a mighty archer, you're a mighty soldier on the battlefield, and you cannot leave this battle. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam anaryajushyam asvegam akirti karam Arjuna. Arjuna, however these impurities come upon you, they are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life, Arjuna. So Krishna is kind of telling Arjuna, you are a warrior. How can you even come with such kind of thoughts that you want to leave this battlefield? Arjuna, Klaibyam ma gamaspata, this doesn't suit a great warrior like you, Arjuna. Hato va prapsasi swargam jitva va boksasi mahim tasmad uttistaya kaunteya yuddhaya kritanishchaya. Arjuna, either two things can happen, Arjuna. Either you will be killed on this battlefield and you will attain the heavenly planets, Arjuna, or you will win this war and you will enjoy a mighty kingdom. In both the ways, Arjuna, there's nothing for you to lose. So stand up and fight, Arjuna. So Krishna, as you can see, he kind of inspires, he motivates, he chastises Arjuna to not leave the battlefield. And you can see that, but this is applicable for the Kshatriyas, because Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya and you need to do your Kshatriya dharma. And this is for human beings, that all these four dharmas that have to be practiced. Varnashrama dharma, you have the Kshatriya dharma, you have the Brahmanas, they have to do their dharma. That all of us, in whichever bracket that we fall in, based on our gunas, we fall under this four bracket of Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Brahmanas, and Sudras. And whichever category that we follow, we need to follow our dharma. But Krishna is above all this dharma, these varnashram, this everything is only for our human beings. This is not applicable for Krishna. And this is the most important thing that we need to understand when we go to Krishna Katha, that Krishna's Leelas are all divine. They're all transcendental, not to be compared on the material platform. And that is the most important thing that we need to understand when we go to Krishna Katha. If Krishna is living a battlefield, there is a higher purpose. If Krishna is getting everybody in Kurukshetra, there is higher purpose, to wipe out everybody in one go. And second thing is, Krishna is showing his opulence of renunciation, that this is how Bhagwan is, that he can leave at any time, he can come at any time. Everything happens according to his own will. We come into this planet, we are born in different countries, not according to our own will, but because according to our karma. But Krishna can appear out of his own sweet will. And that's the difference between Krishna and the living entities. A demon always tries to measure opulence of Krishna, but whereas a devotee never tries to measure his strength and opulence, but always surrenders to him and worship him. So this is the difference between a demon, right? A demon is always challenging. We have Hiranyakashipu asking Prahlad Maharaj, are you saying Vishnu is here? Are you saying Vishnu is everywhere? He's always questioning Vishnu, right? Are you saying Vishnu is there in the pillar? And then Prahlad Maharaj says, yes, my father, Krishna is everywhere. Bahirantasya bhutanam acharam charamevacha sukshmatatta vijneyam dodastam chantike chatat. He's inside and outside of all living beings. He's inside and outside of all moving as well as non-moving beings. He's everywhere, Father. But still, Hiranyakashipu doesn't believe it, and he goes and bangs his weapon against the pillar, and out of which comes Narasimha Avatar. So the demons, they're always trying to measure the opulence of Krishna. They're always trying to challenge Vishnu. Whereas the devotee is never even trying to think about the strength and opulence, because he knows Avasya Rakshabe Krishna Viswasa Palana. But he's only looking at surrendering to Krishna, like how Prahlad Maharaj, even though he's put through so much of danger, he was thrown from the top of a hill. He was done all kind of things, but Prahlad Maharaj was not at all disturbed at all, because he was totally in the mood of surrender. And he was worshipping. By following the footsteps of the pure devotees, we can know that Krishna, the Ranachoraji, left the battlefield, not because he was afraid, but because there was he had some other purpose. That purpose, as it will be revealed, was to attend a confidential letter sent by Rukmini, his future first wife. Krishna, leaving the famous supreme leaving the battlefield is a display of one of his six opulences. Krishna is supremely powerful, the supreme wealthy, the supreme famous, the supreme wise, and the supreme beautiful. Similarly, he is supreme renouncer, as I was just mentioning. Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that he left the battlefield in spite of having ample military strength. Even without his militia, he alone would have been sufficient to defeat the army of Jarasandha, as he had done 17 times before. Therefore, his leaving the battlefield is an example of his supermost opulence, renunciation. So as I was just now mentioning, this is one of the opulence of Krishna, which is called as the opulence of renunciation. That's the reason why we call Krishna as Bhagavan, unlimited strength, unlimited renunciation as well. And we can see the purpose, the reason why Krishna, who has defeated Jarasandha 17 times, he just left the battlefield on the 18th time because he wanted to protect the soldiers over there, and second thing, if he wanted, he could just wipe out just like that. But at the same time, he was attending to a confidential letter which has been sent by Rukmini, and we will find that beautiful Leela unfolding, the reason why Krishna left on the battlefield. But as of now, we know that Krishna has left the battlefield to attend a request that has come from Rukmini. After traversing a very long distance, the brothers attended to become tired. So we're talking about Krishna and Balaram. So they looked like after traveling a long distance, they appeared to be tired. To mitigate their awareness, they climbed upon a mount many miles above sea level. And this mountain is called as Pravarshana. Due to the constant rain, for the peak was always covered with low clouds sent by Indra. And Jarasandha took it for granted that the two brothers were afraid of his military power and hidden themselves on the top of the mountain. First, he tried to find them, searching for a long time, but when he failed to, he decided to trap and kill them by setting fire around the peak. He therefore surrounded the peak with firewood and set it ablaze. As the fire spread in more and more, Krishna and Balaram jumped from the top of the mountain ground to the ground, a distance of 88 miles. So we can see that everything that Krishna does is totally transcendental. It is totally beyond our human comprehension. That Krishna could be just go to the top of a mountain, such a height, and a distance of 88 miles. Could you even think that how is this humanly possible? That he could just go up a mountain called Pravarshana, and where it was completely always raining over there, and he just goes to the top, and then you can find that Jarasandha, this is the nature of the demonic people, isn't it? Even though Krishna has spared his life so many times, this demonic nature, this is what happens when you have a demonic nature, that in the 18th time also, he's still looking at how to go and kill them, even though he was being spared this life. Anybody who spares their life, they would think that, okay, fine, let me be grateful and let me do something else. But here you can find that he's coming back again. And he's not only doing that, he's setting this mountain ablaze with fire so that they will be killed, so that Krishna and Balaram will be killed. And as the fire was spreading more and more, Krishna and Balaram, they jumped from the top of the mountain and down to the ground, a distance of 88 miles. And thus, while the peak was burning up, Krishna and Balaram escaped unseen by Jarasandha and his men. So Krishna is saying all the Leelas are transcendental. That Krishna could just jump from, can you even think, if I had to jump from a 5th floor or a 10th floor, I mean, there's every chance that I could have broken my bones or my feet or my legs or something else would have happened. But here you see Krishna's everything that he's done, whether he's holding the Govardhan hill at the age of 7 years, or here where the Krishna was jumping from 88 miles height mountain. It's just all these things are transcendental. And while the peak was burning, Krishna and Balaram escaped unseen by Jarasandha, and Jarasandha couldn't see them. And he concluded that both the brothers would have been burnt in ashes, and there's no need for further fighting. So this is the nature of the demonic people, isn't it? They want to even set ablaze even the mountains so that Krishna could be killed. And thinking himself successful, so Jarasandha once again left the city of Mathura and returned to his kingdom of Magadha. Gradually, Krishna and Balaram reached the city of Dwarka, which was surrounded by the sea. So these things are all beautiful Leela. So in this Leela, we can find two highlights. One is Krishna is reciprocating the feelings of Rukmini, as we can see in the following paragraphs, because Rukmini has sent a SOS message through the Brahmana, and then Brahmana is coming to Krishna. We'll see that unfolding very shortly, but then in the later part of the chapter, But so Krishna is constantly reciprocating the feeling of his devotees. He says, Ananyas chintayanto ma yejana paryupashite tesham nityabhyuktanam yogashemam vahamyaham. One who's always thinking of Krishna, Krishna says, I also reciprocate. So Krishna is reciprocating the feelings of Rukmini, and that's the reason why he has left. But now we can see that how Krishna and Balaram so easily escape, that everything that they do is completely beyond our human comprehension, that they could just jump from the top of the mountain and they just go back to the kingdom of Dwaraka. So again, we find earlier Muchukonda went to Badrika Ashrama and Krishna went back to Mathura, and now from Mathura, Krishna again goes back to Dwaraka, and we find that Jarasandha has gone back to his kingdom of Magadha. Following this, Sri Balarama married Revati, the daughter of King Raivata, the ruler of Anartha province. This is explained in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And after the marriage of Baladeva, Krishna married Rukmini. Rukmini was the daughter of King Bhishmaka, the ruler of the province known as Vidarbha. Just as Krishna is the supreme Bhagavan Vasudeva, Rukmini is the supreme goddess of fortune, Aham Mahalakshmi. According to the authority of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expansion of Krishna and that of Srimati Radharani are simultaneous. Krishna expands himself into various Vishnu Tattva forms, and Srimati Radharani expands herself into various Shakti Tattva forms by her internal potency as multi-forms of goddess of fortune. So it is so amazing, isn't it? We can see that how Balaram and Krishna, now Balaram gets settled down in marriage life with Revati, and then Krishna is now marrying Rukmini, the daughter of Bhishmaka. And we can find that Krishna is the source. Earlier also, like for the devotees who have never worshipped Krishna, they won't understand like how the bigger picture of, but when we read Bhagavatam, we'll get to understand that Krishna is the source of all the Vishnu Tattvas, right? Krishna explains as Balaram, from Balarama again Shankarshna, and again we have later in the Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu and all. So there are so many expansions of Krishna that happen, but he is the source. That's why we say worshipping Krishna is like watering the roots of a tree. Everybody, all the devatas, all the demigods, all the expansions, everybody gets worshipped by worshipping Krishna. Similarly, Radharani is the source of all the Shakti Tattva forms of goddesses of fortune. So he is the source of the form of Mahalakshmi as well. And according to the Vedic convention, there are 8 kinds of marriages. In the first-class marriage system, the parents of the bride and bridegroom arrange the marriage date. Then in the royal style, the bridegroom goes to the house of the bride, and in the presence of the brahmanas, priests, and the relatives, the bride is given in charity to the bridegroom. Besides this, there are other systems such as Gandharvas and Rakshasa marriages. Krishna married Rukmini according to the Rakshasa system, kidnapping her in the presence of his many rivals like Shishupala, Jarasandha, and Salva. While Rukmini was being given in charity to Shishupala, Krishna snatched her from the marriage arena, exactly as Garuda snatched a pot of nectar from the demigods. Rukmini, the only daughter of King Bhishmaka, was exquisitely beautiful. She was known as Ruchi Ranana, which means one who has a beautiful face expanded like a lotus flower. So we can find that, the Vedic culture, because this Sanatan Dharma is all about following the Vedic rituals and Vedic culture. And it's very, very important in those that to the T, people used to follow this Vedic culture. And they were like, here it's explained that there are 8 different types of marriage. The first-class marriage system with the bridegrooms, and they arrange for the marriage date. And you find that even today, some of those traditions are maintained where the parents of the bride and bridegroom arrange the marriage, isn't it? And unlike in the Western world, it's all like about love marriage, but in Krishna, in the ancient or even in some of the marriage systems, even now in India, it's always arranged by the parents after looking into the astrology and after looking at the background of both of the families. That's what they do. But here we can see that Krishna has followed another type of marriage, which is called as Rakshasa marriage, which is actually kind of like kidnapping somebody from the matching area. But there is a reason that when Krishna does anything, whether he's kidnapping Rukmini or from the hands in front of Shishupala and all that, everything is transcendental. So, like as I said, Krishna's Janma Karma Cha Divyam. That means every divine pastimes of Krishna is divyam, transcendental, spiritual. It is not to be looked at in the material platform. So we can sign that Krishna has followed this Rakshasa system where he is kidnapped Rukmini in the presence of his many rivals. And just like and a comparison has been given, just like a Garuda snatches away a pot of nectar from the demigods. And here a narration has been given that how beautiful she was, like an expanded like a lotus flower. It's just past 9, but I just wanted to cover just one more paragraph with your permission, and then we can just leave with everyone for everybody's realizations or any comments on that. The devotees of the Krishna are always eager to hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord. That is for sure. We're always enjoying the nectar, isn't it? His activities of fighting, kidnapping, and running away from the battle are all transcendental, being on the absolute platform, and devotees take a transcendental interest in hearing of them. The pure devotee does not make the distinction that some activities of the Lord should be heard and some activities should be avoided. There is, however, a class of so-called devotees called as Prakrita Sahajiyas, who are very interested in hearing about Krishna's Rasa Leela and the gopis, but not about his fighting with his enemies. They do not know that his bellicose activities and his friendly activities with the gopis are equally transcendental, being on the absolute platform. All the transcendental pastimes of Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam are relished by the pure devotees through submissive oral reception. They do not reject even a drop. So we are all like, as it is nicely mentioned here in Krishna Katha, the devotees of the Lord Krishna, we are so eager to hear about the transcendental divine pastimes of the Lord. This nectar, we do not want to drop a single drop of this nectar, because everything that Krishna does, whether he's enjoying his flute, whether he's spending time with the cowherd, with the cows in Vrindavan, or whether he's playing with his cowherd boys, friends in Vrindavan, whether he's taking a jumping into this Mathura river, this fighting Kalia, everything is transcendental, and we are very stingy about this one thing, that we do not want to even miss out on a single Leela of Krishna, whether it is Rasa Leela with the gopis, or whether it is how he puts an end to all the demoniac people like Putana and Bakasura, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanardaya sambhavami. He comes for 2 reasons: for the love of his devotees and to put an end to the demoniac people. So we can sign that everything that Krishna does are all transcendental on an absolute platform, and devotees are very, very happy to hear about that. And this is the reason why we have a responsibility as Krishna devotees, that sometimes people, because of mental speculation and because people are so envious, sometimes like people are following other religions, they kind of mock and they kind of like give wrong impression. It say, oh, Krishna is enjoying with the gopis. Oh, how can Krishna do these things? How can Krishna be with Radharani? Because these are all people who are non-devotees, who do mental speculation, because they do not understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of God, that they do not understand that Krishna's every Leela is divine, it's divyam, and not to be taken on the material platform. But the devotees of Krishna are at the same time, instead of mental speculation, they're hearing, because Shravanam is one of the most important process of devotional service. That means we are always Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So out of which Shravanam, hearing, we develop the taste for Krishna Bhakti by hearing always about the divine leelas of Krishna, and we do not want to even drop a single drop of this beautiful nectar. So I just want to stop over here in the interest of time. And I just wanted to ask if there's any realization, any corrections, or any your impressions, or anything that you would like to add. Hare Krishna. Ramnath Prabhuji, is there anything?
Not specifically, other than this interesting point of understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He expands himself as Balaram, and from Balaram, all variety of expansions come, the Chaturvyuha and all the Narayan forms, Vishnu forms, etc., etc., and from Radharani, all the varieties of Lakshmis and Gopis are also expanding. So a lot of times we forget to understand that Radharani has that capacity to expand herself just as Krishna does.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Or Balaram. Yeah.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. That's thanks for adding that point. Yeah, that's a very important thing to understand. It's just not Krishna that expanding, but here you find that even Radharani is expanding her into many forms.
Shakti forms. So actually, the Krishna consciousness movement incorporates Shaktism in a sense. Because Sanatan Dharma is divided up into Vaishnavas, Shaivas, Shaktas, and Smartas. So actually, Chaitanya Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we can incorporate Shaivism when Shiva is seen as a devotee, and we incorporate Shaktism when we understand the various aspects of the Devi as coming from Radharani, and also to approach those aspects for advancement in Krishna Bhakti. So in a sense, that's why Chaitanya Vaishnavism is much more complete than other Vaishnava sects.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Thank you for writing it.
Does it make sense? Do you understand? I mean, yes. I don't know. I think you follow what I'm saying, Shyam. I'm not sure if everyone else understood.
Yes, Prabhuji. Definitely. Amoga Prabhu, you have anything to add?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. So, yeah, Ramnath Prabhuji said very perfectly. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. And I was just thinking about the last paragraph where he just been mentioning, it's just bringing to my mind what Krishna says in the 10th chapter of Vibhuti Yoga. Matchita matgata pranam bodhayante parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha. It said that the thoughts of my pure devotee, Krishna is telling this in 10th chapter, verse number 9, where Krishna is saying, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, and their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss by always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So this is exactly what Krishna is saying about his devotees, and which is what we are trying to do over here in this Sangha, in the association of such lovely devotees. We are trying to Machita, Madgata, Pranam. This is what Krishna is expecting us devotees, that we are always discussing about Krishna. We are discussing the Leelas of Krishna. We are talking about the chanting about Krishna and dedicated to serving Krishna in divine service. And this is something which we always have to remember, that in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions that this is what he looks at his devotees, that my devotees are always thinking about me and always chanting my glories and always conversing about me, which is what we are trying to do here. So I just want to remember this sloka. Radha Sevika Mataji, Hare Krishna. Anything would you like to add?
Hare Krishna, pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Such a lovely, amazing pastimes you read about the Lord. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always joyful when we discuss Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. So I feel very blessed and fortunate to be doing that. Sanchit Mataji, Ashim Prabhu, Vrindavan Das Prabhuji, anything? Vrindavan Das Prabhuji, anything you would like to add?
Oh, what is my question? Nothing question. But what I'm thinking, when he's trying to marriage to Rukmini, but anyhow, then I misunderstand. Anyhow, it's okay, no problem.
Yeah, we're going to cover that, Prabhuji. We're just holding off till the next session. So we will get to know another beautiful Leela which is unfolded. That's why I just stopped at the right time, because from there we're going to start the story of like how Krishna is reciprocating to Rukmini's letter that she sent with the Brahmana, and how he's going to accept and how he's going to follow up on that. So that is something which we're going to discuss in next week session. So I'm just waiting for that nectar to flow as well. Definitely, we're all thirsty for more and more nectar from Krishna Katha. But I think this is what is important. Like I always say, Bhagavad Gita and Krishna Katha, they should go parallel, in hand, because many times people keep scratching their head. Like, we read Bhagavad Gita, but it doesn't come to my mind like what exactly. Sometimes the philosophy is going above our head and all that. But if you read Krishna Katha and if you read Bhagavad Gita and you try to do both the things in parallel, so you will be able to relate to what Krishna is saying. Like, for example, is Machchitta Madgata Pranam Bodhayante Parasparam. So Krishna is saying the thoughts of my pure devotees well in me, and this is what Krishna Katha is. In Krishna Katha, that's what we are doing. So we can relate to both of these, and that's how we will be able to enjoy the nectar even more, and we'll be able to relish even the beautiful instructions of Krishna. And that's how, by following the instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and by reading the Krishna Katha, we'll be able to develop the faith in Krishna, faith in his instructions, and faith in Krishna Leelas. And that's what it is so important for us to, that Krishna, this whole Hare Krishna movement is not a dry philosophy. It is something very, very deep. There is a beautiful philosophy, and there is a beautiful Leelas of Krishna behind all of these things. And only when we relish the Krishna Katha, and that's when we'll be able to enjoy Krishna's Leelas as well as this bhakti life even more and more. Visaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavajyam rasopasya param dristva nivartate. Only when we get the taste, higher taste of Krishna Katha by listening to the divine Leelas of Krishna, that's when we'll be able to have completely be absorbed, and that's when we'll be able to leave some of the material desires, because till then we'll always be sailing in two boats. But only when we experience the higher taste of Krishna Bhakti by listening to the Krishna Katha, that's when we'll be able to release this taste, which will make us give up the smaller ones that give a smaller taste or a flickering happiness. Those things we'll be able to leave by experiencing this higher taste. So it's very, very important to listen to this Krishna Katha. So I'm just looking forward to continuing how Krishna is responding to the call from Rukmini, and how some of the rest of the chapter is going to unfold. Hare Krishna, everyone. Ashwin Prabhu, Hangma Machidi, anything if there's anyone wants to add? Hemlata Mataji, Varun Prabhu. Just the last call.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, very nice recitation of this Krishna Leela. So very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Himachi, for the prayers as well.
Shyam Prabhu, are you going to sing Narsimha Arti with your harmonium?
I don't have the harmonium, but I can sing for you, Prabhu. Okay. It's the listening. Right now, we're not in a position to use the harmonium, and it doesn't come through very nicely on the listening as well on the song for some reason. But if anyone's permission, would it be fine if I just do the Narsimha prayer and before we close? Just for a time. Yeah. Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, Praladayini, Hiranyakakshe Purvakshaha, Shilajatanakalaye, Ito Narsimho Bhagato Narsimho, Yato Yato Yami Tato Nahimo, Bahir Narsimhamadim Sharatam Labhate, Tava Kara Kamala Pade Nakam Abduta Sringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Sringa Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadishu Hare Jaya Jagadishu Hare Jaya Jagadishu Hare Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Narsimha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Narsimha Bhagwan ki Jai Prahlad Maharaj ki Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the devotees.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Very
much,
beautiful
Prabhuji. Very
katha,
beautiful.
Prabhu.
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
especially how you explain Ranchor, I mean, with the different shlokas and comparing Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata, and this was, I mean, and the Krishna Katha. So it was very nice, very relishable class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Let's all say, please, 3 loud Hari Bols for Prabhu. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you very much.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol. Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol.
Hare Krishna. This is the real fortune. I consider it as a great fortune to have all your association. They can't be anything more.
Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol. Kesava Madhava. Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol. Mukunda Madhava Govinda Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Jai
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Jai. We'll again meet next Thursday, same time. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hari Hari.
Hare Hare.
वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यः
पतितानां
वैष्णवेभ्यो
पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः।
कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
हरे
Hare Krishna.
हरे